How did you get so into Herbalife bashing? Or is it Herbalife or is it Herbalife?
I think it's pronounced Herbalife with a her. But yeah, no, it's just I think it's really hard to put my finger on when I started. But you know, you probably have it over there in Canada. You have these multi-level marketing sort of people, and they're messaging you on socials. Well, it became quite popular around 2016 over here. Things like Arbonne, Juice Plus, Herbalife. It's my criticism isn't unique to Herbalife. It's the whole platform. Um, but yeah, me and my friends just sort of started bantering about it, and we found it funny. And I thought that was a really good thing to play on. Bearing in mind, I'm talking a lot about nutrition and fitness, so yeah, it just became part of my jam.
So did you find like it was more is your issue more with their business model or their products or both?
More their business model. I mean,
Well, the
I don't
products
know.
also.
I don't know, and I mean, I don't know too much about their products. I'm sure there are some that it's very easy to create a protein powder and add some greens to it, but it's more their marketing ethos, the way that it's completely unregulated. This false dream that they're trying to sell. There's so many things, but yeah, it's not specifically. That's actually an argument I have, not an argument, but a discussion I have with a lot of people online. They say, oh, you can't say that about Herbalife, their products are great. I'm like, look, it's not about their product necessarily, it's about their fucking ethos.
Their ethos, which we don't even know what their ethos is. What is their ethos?
To make money and at anyone's cost.
Ah, that seems to be the problem. Now, here's the other question. I've heard, I don't know if I heard this or if you said it or someone else told me it or I just made this up in my mind because I do that sometimes, but you were actually sued by Herbalife. Is this true?
No, 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 no. So no, not Herbalife. So there, and I wasn't actually sued, so it didn't go ahead. But I did have a couple of legal clashes with an influencer over here who was on reality TV, and she was promoting Herbalife was one of the products, Boom Bod. You know what it's like, all these skinny teas and stuff.
Right.
And she tried to take legal action for slander. But it was through our agency, so my management and her management sort of smoothed things over, um, and then she put another post out, and I put another one out, and it started again.
So it's like a dysfunctional relationship going on there.
Absolutely, yeah,
So you
yeah.
have an agency, so you're much more high level than I am. So that's good to know.
No, no.
But you my podcast is most people listening to this are probably not like MMA fighters or high level athletes, like people who you were you said you work with a lot of them, but and also you work with regular people such as as I do. But I wanted to explain to them like why exactly, or have maybe you do it in your own words since you are a pro at doing so, why exactly Herbalife products and or their business model and similar type I don't want to say schemes, but I did just say that.
Exactly what it is.
Why you generally want to avoid them.
I mean, it's selling you this rush dream that drastic changes are the best type of changes. We see it all the time. I don't think having a goal in mind, like a holiday or a wedding or something like that, is a bad thing. And you can dial into more strict methods of dieting. But I think if you really are wanting to make long-term progress um, and it feel effortless, then you kind of need to take a more unique, or not unique, but an individualized approach, and aim for your low-hanging fruits. Work with so the things that give you the biggest return and the things that are specific to your lifestyle, and that's where a coach like yourself or me comes in. And I think Herbalife has this one size fits all ethos: replace real foods with our shakes. And anything outside of that is just generalized advice that a coach like ourselves would give anyway. So, training, eating more vegetables, all of that stuff, you can essentially do on your own accord. This Another thing as well is it forces you to keep paying into their system. If you have lost the weight using their products and then you revert back to normal foods, You have no knowledge of portion control. You know, your education on nutrition hasn't improved. You're simply using a product and spending your money to further your progress. Whereas at least working with a coach like ourselves, this is stuff that you take away and you apply for the rest of your life, and you can dip in and out of, you know?
Right. So I see. So one of your main issues is that they promote products that are kind of just like smoke screening what actually matters when it comes to fitness,
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
and selling them as the solution to what their problem is, when in reality it's like all of the other stuff was what actually created the results, and whatever your product you bought really didn't do anything. Because
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a glorified way of, as you know, a glorified way of creating a caloric deficit. You know, that's why there's something over here called Huel, Huel. I don't know if you have it over there. Huel? Hul?
I
I
do
don't know how
not
to say
think I've heard of that. Is that like Hulu, but in the UK?
it. Not really, but the spelling looks like that, but with an E as well. But their marketing is a lot better. They kind of market towards people that want to lose weight but are in a bit of a rush in the morning for breakfast. So it's like, look, replace your normal breakfast with this powder, which we've got fiber in it, we've got your protein, we've got some micronutrients in there, and they're a lot more honest with it. That I'm absolutely fine with. It's this whole Herbalife magic pill nonsense that I'm not on board with.
Right. So it's mostly more about the marketing of the products and not necessarily that. And not necessarily the products themselves. Now, I think we could also get into, and we could talk about the actual like effectiveness of some of these products, or the issues with, I think you mentioned earlier, the lack of regulation in the supplement industry in general. I did an entire podcast talking about supplements, and I talked I've done a lot of posts on like the lack of regulation in the supplement industry and how and why that's a problem. What's kind of your take on this?
I completely agree. I mean, did you see that thing with, I mean, I sit here and I say I have no problem with Herbalife's products, but did you see the liver toxicity lawsuit that they had?
Well, I don't know if it was a lawsuit, but I saw recently there was actually a study done in I believe it was an Australian, is this related to this? Perhaps it was an Australian hospital, and they found that a huge percentage of their people who they were admitting to the ER for like certain type of liver, I don't want to misquote this, but I think it was liver toxicity, were people who were, it was from a result of these supplements. I don't remember
Yeah.
the exact brand of supplement. It was some type of weight loss supplement though.
I think it was Herbalife. I mean, I don't want to be done for slander, but no, I'm pretty sure when because I had a look at that study as well, and I think it was the inclusion of like lethal metals or something like that. But it was, from what I saw, it was Herbalife. I mean, I'm not entirely sure if that is linked to their lawsuit, but I'm pretty sure if it's not that, it's something else that is also dangerous that had a negative effect on the body. So I want to say, yeah, that they lost, I think they had to pay out like 200 million or something. It was crazy.
So I think we're actually talking about different ones, because the one I was talking about, I don't think there was actually I think there was just a study shown where there was a high, the study just showed that there was a large amount of patients being admitted for toxicity that was caused by, I think it might have even been a specific weight loss supplement. And and the fact that there's many of these things going on around the world, and there's been studies testing the purity of supplements to show that they don't have anything close to what has been shown, they claim on the label, where it's like, oh, this has 20 grams of protein, and then they actually like analyze it in a lab, and oh, it only actually has 9 grams of protein. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger, this was back in like 2015 or 2014. I don't know if you remember this, but Arnold Schwarzenegger's whey protein got in like huge trouble because he was claiming there was like 25 grams. It was his Muscle Farm brand of protein. He was claiming 25 grams of protein on the label, and they actually analyzed it in a lab, and it only had like 13 grams of protein in a serving, and the rest was like sugar.
Wow, they fell off the edge of the cliff. Their brand is not doing as, I'm not seeing as much of it. But I agree with what you mean. Over here in the UK, things are a little bit better regulated. Batch testing, and having certainly for our athletes, you have to have informed sport certifications to ensure that your product is batch tested properly. But I understand it's the wild west over there in
North
Northern
America.
America.
Well, I
So
think So are you guys, is it actually regulated by like the supplements in general? Because over here, it's like there are some supplement brands that test third party, like they pay a third party lab or something to test their supplements for it, or do what you said, like batch test their supplements. But there's still like a ton of over the counter supplements that you can buy, and they're not required to be tested in any way in order for them to be sold over the counter. Are you talking like they do need to be tested over in the UK in order to be sold? Or are you just talking like about this? A lot more brands are doing the third party testing nowadays.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think a little bit of both. I mean, I'm not entirely sure. When I created my, I mean, I'm not sure on the complete scope of supplements, but I know with my rehydration drink, we had to have it batch tested, in order to sell it. And of course, we have fighters having blood tests, and it's just peace of mind for me to know that everything is informed sport checked. It does cost. It is a hefty fee. You do end up paying thousands a year just to make sure that it is that it contains what it says it contains.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if it is a legal requirement, but I do remember Martin McDonald and Lane Norton mentioning things. Martin McDonald with beta-alanine, I think he said he had problems at the beginning bringing it over here for that reason. And I think Lane said he's not shipping, or some of his supplements aren't coming to the UK because of that very reason. So again, don't quote me on it. I'm just on the spot here, but I found that study, by the way, about Herbalife, and yeah, it says here what the
Oh, so it actually was Herbalife. Okay.
Yeah, I'll link it to you. So it's on PubMed. Acute liver injury.
I see.
Yeah.
And there was actually a lawsuit. Okay, cool. Don't want to get involved in any lawsuits, so I'm going to move on. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, I think so. But I'll send you the link anyway. But it definitely says here, one patient took hydroxycut while the other took 2 Herbalife supplements.
Oh, well, thanks for pulling that up, Jamie.
No problem. It's like Joe Rogan, isn't it? So,
exactly. Yes, exactly.